fine, it will be very, very difficult for them to, for them to control, environmental costs completely, pollution and stuff like that. Okay, but they could minimize. One way of minimizing could be they could, look at the machinery that they use for production. Are this machinery that emits a lot of greenhouse gases? Okay, if they do, they need to replace them with modern machinery. Now most of the modern machinery, that are being produced, factors in the environmental aspect. They don't usually emit a lot of CO2. A typical example is if you go to LG, for example, the air condition they sell, and some of the fridges and the freezers that they sell, they're highly environmentally friendly. Okay, go to LG one day and then ask about that. They will tell you, most of them are energy efficient and they're highly environmentally friendly. So they emit, limited, how to call it, tons of CO2, very limited. So they could use those facilities. And for example, cement companies, for example, they deal in dust. So if they have to do well to the environment, they can control those dust. Okay, how those dust will be discharged to the environment. Okay, they need to control or minimize that. How, by ensuring that wherever they do the production, is in an enclosed place, or if it is in an outside place, they need to find a way of, containing it maybe within their premises and so on and so forth. Okay, so fine. Yes, it could it could be controlled, but naturally we could not eliminate it completely. They still have to, do bad to the environment, but the best way is to control it, isn't it?
Yeah, so.
Okay. So any more remarks? We're going to go to the emission trading, the EU emission trading system.
That's why, the global framework that stakeholders are bringing in place, which is mitigation and adaptation. It's something that you explain here, because you cannot eliminate the threat that we are posing in the environment, but you can reduce it. Because I think currently, the ozone layer depletion is around 4 degrees Celsius or even more than that.
Exactly.
And they are coming up with, is trying to mitigate that CO2 from 4 degrees Celsius to 2 degrees Celsius or even lower than that.
Exactly. So this is why this topic that we are coming to do is very, 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 very important. Okay, so I think it's a good point to start. Right. So have you ever heard of this trading scheme, the EU, the European Union Emissions Trading System? Have you ever heard of it before?
Today's my first time.
It's your first time. Okay, good. So just like Dumbuya is saying, this is a method that is used by countries that are in the EU, that are in the European Union, to try to fight against the emission of greenhouse gases, okay, by trying to reduce it. Okay, they could not stop it completely, but they try to reduce it. So this is one way of, this is one way whereby countries in the European Union use to control the emission levels of greenhouse gases. Okay, the key among the greenhouse gases, of course, we know is the CO2. Okay, so like I said, the EU ETS, of course, is the cornerstone of the European Union's policy to combat climate change. And it's a key tool for reducing industrial greenhouse gases, emissions cost effectively. Okay, so their objective is to reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases in a cost effective manner. Okay, so how the trade works is organizations that manufactures, organizations that are in, automobile, transport companies, um, air transport companies, and so on and so forth, that are registered in the EU countries, the countries that form the EU. Okay, they must follow these protocols. Okay, so the way it works is those organizations are given certain amount of CO2 to emit. The machinery they use in their production or their vehicles or their flights are allowed, each and every one of them are allowed to emit certain tons of CO2 into the atmosphere. Okay? And if they go beyond that, they will have to pay for it. Either pay taxes or they will have to buy the emission rights from another company. Okay? So the way it works is each and every company, depending on their category, and we will see how they are categorized, depending on their category, will be given certain tons of CO2 to emit. Okay? If you emit yours, you exhaust it, you want to continue production, that means you have to buy the emission right, you have to buy it from another company. Okay? And it's not going to be for free. Okay? You have to pay for it. So in that way, they will control these production organizations or these automobile or air freight organizations. Okay, they will control their emission of greenhouse. Yeah. Okay? Very, very, very important. Okay, so there are about 31 countries and over 11,000, organizations, power stations, airlines, and so on and so forth that are registered in the scheme. Okay, in 31 European countries. Okay, so the EU ETS works on a what? It works on a cap and trade principle. Okay, a cap or a limit is set on the total amount of certain greenhouse gases that can be emitted by the factory, power plant, and other installations in the system. The cap is reduced over time so that the total emissions fall. So they have a target. So every year, then they will set a cap so that you can only emit up to that cap. If you go beyond that cap, you have to buy the right. Okay? Who is making all this noise? Come on. Nima. Nima, can you mute your mic, please? Okay, sorry. Right. So, right. So the caps, of course, are categorized, according to various industries. Airlines have got their cap. Motor industries that are into automobile, motor vehicle manufacturing, and so on and so forth also have their cap. Okay, so the way it works is those caps will be given in various categories of greenhouse gases. There are various different types of greenhouse gases. You have the CO2, you have the nitrogen oxide, you have the how to call it, the PFCS, they call it what? The perfluoride carbons, and so on. There are so many of them, okay? But these are the key ones, okay? So some organizations emit CO2 and nitrogen oxide and others, but most of them emit CO2, okay? So I was talking about the allowances and the caps that are given for each of the industry, okay? So the car and other fixed installation in 2013, this was the allowance that was given, about 2.1 million tons of CO2. So those organizations under that category will be given the right to emit this much CO2. And I'm sure some of you will be asking, but come on, how do they monitor this? How do they know that they have to do this? Come on, the white people are not like us. they have proper system for everything. So those machines, they have, meters and stuff like that that measures the CO2 emission. So by doing that, they'll be able to monitor. Okay, so the cap for aviation industry between 2013 to 2020 is about 210,349,264. This is tons of CO2. So you're given a cap that you're not supposed to exceed. So in case you exceed, what's going to happen is you have to buy the right to emit from another organization. Okay, and then that is not going to be for free. Okay, you have to pay for it. Okay, so each organization, each country will have their price that they will charge for 1 ton of CO2. Okay, for example, if company A that is into manufacturing of buses, okay, is given the right to emit, let's say, 2.0 million of CO2 to emit. And for a year, they emit and then they exhaust their quota. Okay, so they're left with, let's say, 2-3 months along the way before the year ends. So in order for them to continue manufacturing, they either have to buy the, they either have to buy the right to emit from another company, or they cease to operate. Because if you operate without your right to operate, is going to be a problem. Okay? So if you have to buy from other organizations, they will charge you. Okay, different countries, different European countries have got different prices that they charge for a ton of CO2. In the UK, for example, between 2014 and 2015, it was like 15.60 per ton of CO2. Okay, £15.60 per ton that you emit of CO2. Okay, so if you emit huge tons, they will charge you according to this rate in the UK, for example. Okay, other countries have got their different tariffs. Okay, so we're going to do a question on this, a bit of number crunching, just like you would like. But just to summarize, the way the carbon trading works is it's a way that is used to combat global warming for European countries, okay? By ensuring that organizations that are heavy polluters, aviation industry, automobile industry, and so on and so forth, the heavy polluters, they will ensure that they will control the amount of carbon, the amount of greenhouse gases they emit in the air. That's the only way. So that if you operate, in a manner that will ensure that you don't pollute the environment that much, you don't have any problem. Okay? But if you operate in such a way that your pollution, your effects on the environment is very high, you're going to pay dearly. Okay? It can even lead to some organizations, ceasing to operate. Okay? So that's the way it works. So let's do an example that can consolidate our understanding. Okay? So please make sure you screenshot this, but it's already part of the notes that I've given you. Okay? So screenshot it so that we do this question and then we'll call it a day. We have about 13 minutes before 5. Okay, screenshot it because I'm going to move away from it and then I'll go to a spreadsheet. I'll go to our Google Sheet to answer it. Okay, so let me read the question before I go out of it. It says British Airlines, BA, and Atlantic Airlines, AA, are plane companies operating in the UK for a long time now. UK is part of the EU. Well, this was before. Well, they're still, well, I don't know. I think they've moved out. They're in the verge of moving out completely. They've not fully moved out, actually. and as such agreed to the EU protocols of combating climate change. In the year 2014, BA emitted only 80% of the aviation allowance of CO2, while AA fully utilized its allocation and requires extra 10%, okay, extra 10% of its allocation. AA went into contract with BA to acquire its 10% shortfall from them. BA agrees to sell to AA at the allowance price plus 5% margin. Required. What are the financial implications of the above environmental activities for both BA and AA for the year ended 31st December 2014? Note, you have to assume that the cap for aviation allowance per year is 210, 349, 264 tons, and the price of the allowance for 2014-2015 compliance year was set at 15.6 per ton of CO2. Okay, is this clear? Please make sure you snapshot this. I'm going to go to the Google Sheet to answer this question. Okay, so I'm going to open a new one. Okay, can you follow me, please? Are you with me? Are you with me, class?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to open a new spreadsheet. So the same method, in case you don't know how to do it, go to your Gmail, okay? Or for those that are using mobile phones, if you have already downloaded your Google Sheet app, you go to your Google Sheet app and open a new one, okay? But then for people like us who are using laptops, I just go to my email straight, and then on the top right corner, I hover my mouse over the 9 dots, which says Google Apps. So once I click it, then I can just go to Google Drive. Okay, once I go to Google Drive, okay, I'll go to Google Drive. Let me project that. Project that. I should stop projecting. I'm just stopping the question now. I'm just stopping the projection of the question now. So I'm just presenting the Google Drive. Okay. So this is where we are. So I just go to New, and then I'll select Google Sheet. Okay, I'll select Google Sheet. I go and project that as well. Okay. So I have an untitled Google Sheet. Okay. So this is my untitled Google Sheet. This is what we're going to use to answer our question. Okay, our spreadsheet. If you open it new, it says untitled sheet. Okay. First, I want it to appear sharp, so I'm going to zoom it. I'm going to zoom it at 150% so that you can see it very clearly. So the first thing we're going to do is in the middle here, this is where the file name is. Okay, when you highlight it, it says rename. Okay, because it has been given an automatic name called untitled spreadsheet. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. I highlight the content of it, and then I give it a file name. So I'm going to call it EMA, Environmental Management Accounting, and then I will say emission trading question. EMI as emission trading. Okay. I hope you are following. You're seeing my spreadsheet. Are you? Okay. Once you click on it, it will say saving and it says save to drive. Okay. Always observe that. Okay. So it's automatically saved. And then you don't have to do anything at all. Okay. you don't have to do anything at all, because if you do anything once you are online, once you have internet, it will automatically save. That's why there is no option here that says save, because the saving is done automatically for you. Okay, so now we're going to go to our question, but first we're going to leave I think we can just go to our new worksheet and do our workings, and then we come to our answer sheet. So I'll create two sheets. Of course, the first sheet is done for us already. So I'm going to rename it by double clicking on it, and then I'll just say answer. Okay. Then I'm going to go and create a new worksheet. I'll call that workings. Okay. So to create a new worksheet, you can come to the bottom left corner where there is a plus. Okay, it's going to be different if you have a mobile device, but I know for some of you, you already know how to add a new worksheet. Okay, so you click on the plus, a new worksheet will be added for you automatically. So you double click on the new worksheet and then rename it. Okay, so this one we're going to call it workings. We're going to call it workings. So this is the sheet that we're going to use for our workings. So I'm going to copy this here, and then I'll put it as my heading. I'll just say copy. I don't have to type it again because it's already typed. So I can come here and say paste. So I call it workings. Okay. So I'm going to reduce this margin a bit. Okay. So I'll leave one margin on the left and one margin on top. Okay. I usually do this for presentation sake. Right? Are you following? Are you following?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. So let's do a table. Let's do a table to do some working, and we'll use that for our answer. So first thing, what we need to do is there are two companies, BA and AA. We've seen in the question that each and every one of these two companies are into aviation industry. Okay, and as such, the allowance that is given to them to emit will be the same. And that allowance is 210,349,264 tons of CO2. That's what they are allowed to emit in a year. So their planes together are not supposed to emit more than this much for BA and for AA. But we've been told in the question that BA for the year was only able to emit 80% of this. But unfortunately, AA, maybe because they have so many customers, that may be a reason, financial benefit, or maybe their planes are older. Okay, maybe their planes are older, as such they emit, so much CO2 in the atmosphere. Okay, so it's two things. They might have new fleet of planes, but then the customers were plenty during the year, and as such they made more money. If that is the case, then they're fine. But on the other way around, they might have older fleet of planes that might be emitting, so much, greenhouse gases into the air, and as such, they will exceed their limit. Okay, so these are the possible reasons. So for them, they emitted 100% even before the year ends, and then now they want to get extra 10% of their limit so that they can continue in operation. But unfortunately, there are the two companies that are into it. So BA has got some excess. So that means BA is left with about 20% of its limit. Okay. And AA needs 10% of its limit. So that means, what does that mean? Who has and who needs?
BA has and EA needs.
Okay, BA has got some excess okay, permit to emit that much CO2. And unfortunately, AA, they've exhausted their limit and then they need. So if AA needs and BA has, what is going to happen between the two of them?
Yeah, AA might go into buy the excess he needed from BA.
Excellent. So AA will go into buying the excess they need from BA. So that means in the books of BA, what's going to happen? And in the books of AA, what's going to happen? So if AA needs to buy what they need from BA, so what's going to happen? What accounting transactions will happen?
Yeah, I think if it is a payment, directly payment, then I think cash is involved, cash account will be involved.
Okay, it might be cash payment and it might be credit payment. So we can just assume it might be any of them. Okay, but my question is, what will be the effect on the books of accounts for each of them? Okay, simple. In the books of AA, what are they going to record? They are going to record a purchase. Okay, either cash purchase or credit purchase. Okay, but in the books of BA, what's going to happen? What are they going to record? What are they going to record?
Sales.
Huh?
Sales.
Sales, exactly. They're going to record a revenue. Okay? Either in cash or in credit. Okay? So they will have to record. So please, I think we need to finish this. You need to give me a few minutes so we can complete this, please. So it's going to be maybe 10 minutes of your time, maybe not more than that. So you can bear us out. So let's go. So now you understood where we're trying to arrive at. So let's have our working. So the first will be, let's do a table. I'll call this company. Okay. And the next column will be allowed to emit. Okay, that's the tons of CO2 that is allowed to emit. Tons of CO2. Okay. Then the actual emission. Actual emission. Of course, that will be in tons of CO2 as well. Sorry, not that. CO3, there's nothing like CO3. Interesting. Okay, because we copied it to the next cell, so it was just extending it by one. Okay, so actual emission in CO2. Okay, so the percentage. Okay, and then of course the variance. Okay, the variance. This variance will be in tons. Paste. So just copy this. I paste it here. Okay, the variance, and then let's have a column called remarks. We have a column called remarks. Okay, is this clear? Now, we've got our headings. Now let's plug the data. So the first organization is BA, and the next one is AA. Okay, BA and AA. Okay, how many tons of CO2 each of them is allowed to emit? Can you tell me? How many tons of CO2 is in the question, yeah? How many tons of CO2? Give me quick, please.
210.
210. Okay, 210. Quick. Only 210?
698.
398. Is it 398 or 349?
698. 666.
No. Which one are you looking at? We're looking at the aviation
No,
tab.
698.
No, for the aviation. It's given on the question, at the
349.
bottom. 210, 349, 264. Is it not given in the question?
264. Yes.
210, 349,
Yes, it's in the question.
264. Exactly. Okay. So these two columns, let's just format them because they're going to be numbers. So we're going to format them to have only 1,000 separator. So we go to format, number formatting with 2dp. We don't want to get 2dp. So we're going to reduce the 2dp to 0dp. Okay. So this is what we have for one of them. So for the second one, we don't have to type it. We just link it. We just say equals, and then we click on the cell. So that will bring it. Okay, because since all of them are allowed the same number of tons of CO2. Okay, so now let's find their percentage. So this area, let's just format it to have a percentage. So we can use a percentage. So I just highlight it and click on the percentage icon to format it to percentage. Okay, so for BA, they have utilized, their actual emission is how many percent of their entitlement? How many percent of their entitlement? Please check the question. How many percent of their entitlement?
80%.
80%. Excellent. What about
80%.
for AA?
10%.
Hey, what they have used, their actual emission?
100%.
100%. Excellent. Okay, so let's the format, the percentage, we don't want the 2 decimal place, so we can highlight it and reduce the
100%.
increase the decimal place. Okay, excellent. Yes, it's 100%. So now let's find their actual emission. So if we want to find their actual emission, what formula are we going to put here, class? What formula are we going to put here?
Equals to?
Equal. Yes, Dumia, equals?
Yes, 80%.
Okay, we click on the cell with 80%. That's E6. Okay.
Times the number of tons.
Yeah, times C6.
Multiplied by, do we type 210, whatever? What do we do?
Just click on the number.
C6.
We click on C6. Excellent. Yeah. We enter, and then we replicate. So 168,279,411 metric tons of CO2 have been emitted by BA. That is equivalent to their 80%, whilst AA is their full entitlement. Okay, so what's the difference between the two? What formula do we put here? The difference between what they are allowed to emit and what they have actually emitted.
You have 2 options.
Okay.
You can find 20% of the same amount.
Okay.
Or you subtract, the lesser amount from the greater amount.
Okay, good. So equals C6 minus D6. You enter and then you copy. So the difference that is available for BA is 42 million and for AA is 0. Okay? is this clear? So we can just put a remark here. CO2 fully utilized. Fully utilized. Okay. Then for BA, we could say this is the balance available for sale. Available for sale. Okay. So we can expand that a bit. Okay. So they are fully utilized, and for BA, this is what is available for sale. Okay. So we can go on and do our workings. So AA requires what? Let's find out what AA requires. AA requires 10% of the allocation, isn't it? 10% of the allocation. They require 10% of the allocation. And what is that 10%? So what do they require? Let's expand this. So what they require is 10% of the allocation. How do we calculate that? So we say equals the allocation. You can use any of them, either C6 or C7. You multiply it by 10%. 10% is 0.1. Okay. So that gives you this much. So we can just format it. We can use the format of this by clicking on it, and then we use the format, the paint format. Okay, and then we click back here. It will give us the same format. That's the 1000 separator, the same format here. Okay, is that clear? Yeah, is that clear? I don't have to go through formatting. I mean, since I have the format, already got the format of previous one, so I could just copy that format by using the paint format. Or in Excel, it's called what? Paint brush. Okay? Right. So this is what AA needs. So BA has got, of course, is available, and BA is going to sell. So BA's selling price will be what? BA's SP. Just says SP for selling price. What will BA's selling price be? It will be based on the allowance. It will be based on the price that is given. Okay. So price given, that's the price given by, of course, the government price. Okay. And the government price is how much? What's the government price as per the question? Hmm? What's the government price per ton?
15.6. 15.60.
15.6. Excellent.
15.60.
15.6. Okay. And then BA is going to add some margin on it. So profit margin.
5%.
Yeah, which is 5%, will be added to this. Okay. So that will be a 15.6 multiplied by 0.05, which is 5%. Okay. So the margin will be 0.78. So what's the total selling price? The total selling price is the sum of the original price that's given by the government and the margin that BA wants to, get. Okay, so maybe this price that government gives may go back to the government, and then the remaining amount might go to the company. Okay, so we can do our sum. So we say equals sum. Bracket opens. We highlight the area that we want to sum, and we have a total of 16.38 as our selling price. Okay, is this clear? So this price will be a selling price for who? For BA. And for AA, what price will this be?
Cost price for
Cost
AA.
price for BA. Excellent. Cost price for AA. Okay, cost price for AA. Okay, so we go to our answer. We go to our answer. I just say effects of effects of environmental revenue and costs in the books of BA and AA. Okay. So first we're going to start with BA, isn't it? We're going to start with BA, and we all know BA is the seller. So BA, the seller, what will be the effects of this in the books of BA? Okay, let's do it quickly because we are eating into other people's time. Let's do it quickly. We should be finished very soon. Okay, so in the books of BA, what are they going to record? We spoke about this, isn't it?
They are going to record the revenue.
Okay, so sales revenue will be recorded. Sales revenue will be recorded as follows. Okay, so okay, so sales account. Okay, so sales account will have an entry of what? What will be the amount of the sales? How are we going to calculate it here? Can someone give me the formula to calculate? First, in order to get the sales, what do we multiply by what?
It's going to be 10%, that AA requested from BA.
Yes. So AA requested the 10%, which is 21,034,926. That's what AA is going to buy from BA. So BA is going to sell this much. And it's going to sell it at what price?
16.38.
16.38. So it's going to be this multiplied by that. So we're going to use that here. We're going to, the answer will be here. So we say equals, okay? Who can take me through? Equals.
Go back to working.
I go to the working sheet. Now we are using different worksheets in calculation. Okay, we're using different worksheets in calculation. Okay, so in order to go to the worksheet where you want to find the factors that you're going to calculate, you have to click on that worksheet. And then what else do you do?
Click on D9.
The cell, the first cell that we need to calculate, which is the D9, correct? Okay, if you click on D9, look at what happens. It says what? Equals workings, exclamation mark, D9. But if you have done the answer in the same sheet, the workings, exclamation mark will not appear. So what is the workings, exclamation mark?
I think it is showing a reference.
It's showing a reference, and that
The
reference...
the link between the two worksheets.
Yes, it's showing the reference of the name of the worksheet that is used in the calculation. So the name of the worksheet is called workings. Exclamation mark is just there to show you that it is a name of a worksheet. That's the way Excel does. That's the way Spreadsheet does its coding when it comes to the name of worksheets. Okay, so that multiplied by D15, and we enter. Okay, so once we enter, we have this, so we can go and format. number format, then we have this. So that means BA is going to record a huge amount of sales, which will be 344,552,094. Is this not good money? Okay. So how are we going to show the double entry for this? Weak account will be debited and weak account will be credited. Debit.
Now you debited. Sorry, you credited sales account. Now you're going to open a cash account or bank. You debited with the same amount.
Okay, excellent. That's a good how to call it, good skills, good double entry skills. So the first thing we do is we're going to debit our cash account. That is if AA pays in cash. Okay, but if AA does not pay in cash, so that means we are going to create an accounts receivable for AA. So we can either debit our cash or our accounts receivable. And the good thing is either cash or accounts receivable will come on the same side of our balance sheet. What side is that?
Debit side.
Of our balance sheet. What side? Which heading? Which heading?
On the current assets.
On the current assets, okay? On the current assets. So cash or accounts receivables. Okay? So we're going to debit either cash or accounts receivable, depending on the nature of the transaction. Okay? So which account are we going to credit?
Sales or revenue account.
Okay, we're going to credit sales revenue. Okay, and where will that sales revenue go? The sales revenue account, where will it go? Under the balance sheet? Will it go under the balance sheet?
Income statement.
It will go into?
We take it to income statement.
Income statement. Excellent. It will go into the income statement, and as such, is going to increase the profit. Okay, so is this clear? Right, so I'm going to make this bold, and I'm going to color it to blue. Okay, so I'm going to make this bold again, the BA. Okay, and I'm going to put this in a border. I'm going to create this border to cover. Excellent. So the next one is what? We've done with BA. So we're going to do in the books of who?
AA buyer.
Okay, we're going to do AA, who is the buyer. So AA is the buyer. So what will be recorded?
AA.
What will be recorded? As it's copy, and then I'll modify paste. What will be recorded? What will be recorded? Purchases. Okay, either cash purchases or credit purchases. Okay, and as such, which account will it go to? For example, it's going to be the purchases account, isn't it? Initially. Okay, so it will go to our purchases. Okay, so what's going to happen to the purchases account? The purchases account will be debited with which amount? It will be debited with which amount? The same amount, isn't it?
Yes, the same amount.
This will be revenue for BA, but it will be cost for AA. So we just link it, we say equals, and then click the amount. Then that will bring it here directly. So what will be the double entry? Which accounts will be debited and which accounts will be credited? So I just copy this, paste. So which account will be debited and which account will be credited?
Purchases going to be debited and cash or payables going to be credited.
Okay, purchases account will be debited and either cash or either cash or what?
Accounts payable.
Bank.
Bank. Who said, oh, bank? Is cash not different than bank in this situation? Come on. There's no difference between cash and bank. It's just their nature. That's why you say cash and cash equivalents on your balance sheet is the same. Okay? So it's either cash or accounts payable. It's either cash or accounts payable. Okay? Cash, meaning if the purchase is done in cash, then that means we are going to credit cash, we are going to reduce our cash. You know, cash has got a default debit balance. By crediting it, we are reducing it. Okay? And what will be the effect? What will be the overall effect? The overall effect will be what? By debiting purchases, what's going to be the effect on the income statement? Will it increase profit or it will reduce profit?
It will reduce profit.
It will reduce profit. Okay? By crediting cash or by crediting accounts payables, what will be the effect on our balance sheet?
It will reduce
on our balance sheet, if we credit cash, we are going to reduce cash, meaning we are going to reduce accounts receivable. If we credit accounts payable, that means we are going to increase our liability. So reducing your asset is the same as increasing your liability. So that's why the effects are the same. Okay? You reduce your cash if it is cash purchases. By reducing your cash, what are you doing? You are reducing your accounts receivables. You are reducing your assets. Okay? If you have not reduced your asset, on the other hand, if you create a liability, you are going to increase your liability. Okay, which is not good. Reducing your cash is not good, just like increasing your liability is not good. Is this clear? Okay, so look at the effects it has on these two companies. Okay, so should they be careful about their environment? Should they? Of course they should. Okay, so I just click on this, then I just do the same format here. Just expand this a bit. Then I'm going to put this in a border as well. Just highlight there. Then I come here, close the border. Okay. Then I'm going to ensure that this heading lies nicely between them. Okay. So I'm going to, I'm going to center this, highlight everything, and then I'll click on merge, and then I'll send. Okay. So I could increase the font size to 18. And then we could go and wrap. So I go to format, text wrapping, I just say wrap. Okay. The heading looks beautiful, isn't it? Okay. So we could put this on a border as well. Okay, and then we could put everything on a double border. Okay, so we highlight everything, and then we come to border. We click on the outer border, and then we select the sample that we want, either a thick one or a double border. So let's say we want a double border, we click on it, and then there you go. That's the double border for you. Okay. So let's say we need this for presentation sake. We want to take, if we want to, how to call it, remove all the grid lines so that the presentation can look beautiful. Can you see? If you reduce this to 100%, you can see everything like this. Okay? So this is where we are going to close. This is where we are going to draw the curtain. Before you go, if you have any questions or any clarifications or any comments you want to make, feel free. The floor is open.
This transaction is better for BA company than AA.
Exactly, yes. So in your last comment, you will definitely comment that as a result of BA, of course, obeying environmental protocols and not emitting more than what their prescribed, allowances, they were able to make a revenue of more than 344 million at the expense of AA, who were very, very lackadaisic with the way they manage their environment in terms of their pollution level. Simple. Okay, so you could make that comment in an exam. Okay, right? I hope it's understood, and I hope you enjoyed the EMA, the environmental management, how to call it, lectures. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, Mr. Fofan.
Yes, Omar.
For me, the calculation part, I was not paying attention because I'm somehow sick. I'm not feeling
Oh,
well. Maybe
oh,
later I will go through the video again,
yes.
inshallah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's why you're not very active today. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, but if you go
Yeah.
through the video, you won't miss out on anything. Yeah. So in
Yes,
case
inshallah.
anyone does not understand, to be honest, you can go through the video and then you'll be fine. Okay. The good thing is, in fact, the video will be a lot better because whilst you're going through, if there is something that you don't understand, you can always stop and replay it. Okay. So that's the good thing. Okay. So any other comments? Okay, I think we can draw the curtain here. We can stop here. So next time we'll meet, I think will be on Friday. We're going to start a new topic, which is accounting for short-term decision making, right? Accounting for short-term decision making.